Jorge, episode 10. We're live
We're
together.
live.
Phoenix, Arizona.
It's a special episode
I
today.
know, it is.
I love it. You're coming from Minneapolis. Well, not from, yes, from Minneapolis, but you just spent 8 weeks in Hawaii.
Yeah.
With little Aslan.
We survived 2 tropical storms, 6 feet of rain, and 80-mile-an-hour winds. So Aslan started off his life.
And you gave your first ever weather report, I heard.
I did. I was reporting live from the islands, so making sure everyone knew we had survived.
Yeah,
so.
I think you were right on with the timing too. In the middle of the weather storm, the wind
getting
was
blown away.
Getting blown away. That was a perfect heads up.
Yeah, I know.
The locals there.
Yeah, no, it was like wow. It's like a once in a 20-year storm. And the cool thing is, our church that we were part of, like, really has stepped up with Convoy of Hope and helping people out.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was like we were in the middle of it, trying to make, it was a little scary, but making it lighthearted as well.
Yeah.
So, but now we're back.
We're back,
and we're ready to
go. For those of you that don't know us, I think it's great to give a little bit of an introduction of who we are. I'm Jorge Espinoza. I am here in Phoenix, Arizona. I live here with my family, my wife, my kids, and I work at Sprouts Farmers Market. So I've been here for 9 months. And this is our first time since those 9 months that we've been able to record live.
Yeah.
The podcast we've done in the past live, but we haven't figured out if it was publishing it. So, but now this is going to go live out there to the world. So I'm excited to jump into this. But why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
And my name's Bradley McCoy, and I work at Target, based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Jorge and I have been through many seasons together. And we're both really passionate about how do we live our faith out at work. He was, before he came down to the desert, was in Minneapolis at Target with me as a buyer. And we've learned a lot. We both were part of the Christian Network, helping to lead that at Target. And now we are spreading out all over, and living faith at work is at a lot of different companies. But we're excited. We have a heart for the marketplace and what God's doing. So if you never turned in, you're going to hear our conversations of our 15 years of friendship and doing business together, and how God has challenged and stretched us. And today we have a new type of episode that we're going to try out. I'm excited about it. But it's called
10 episodes too. But
we are. This is our 10th episode.
Yes.
And the
double digits.
Yeah, we survived our first quarter here. And getting ready for conference, which we're excited about. But today we're going to talk about business basics in the Bible.
Yep.
And like, not just, hey, this is my experience with faith at work, but what does the Bible actually have to say about business? And those principles can be directly applied to our everyday in the workplace. So today I'm excited to talk about that.
Yeah, and we're going to dive into 1 Corinthians 13.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about. And if you know what that scripture, with that chapter, and what that chapter talks about specifically, is really love, right? Mm-hmm. What does love mean? And for us, we're going to talk about, we're going to read verse by verse, really talking about how does that apply in the workplace. Yes, specifically. Because we do need to care, we do need to love. I know I'm going through a season right now, specifically with just in my own leadership journey of being able to express and show love in a meaningful way in how Christ has loved us. So I think we should just dive into it. What do you say?
I love it, and I love the love chapter, I guess. But the thing that I thought about is this chapter is often read so much at weddings, where it's like, oh, wow, it's this romantic type of love. But when you read through each scripture and each verse, it's actually the genuine love that we should be showing up with every day for the people that are around us, which I think in the workplace, there's a huge void.
Yeah.
And if we can figure out how to love people well in our workplaces, I think people are going to respond differently, and we're going to bring a light that is not there right now. A lot of workplaces, it feels like it's empty. Like there's not love. And when you say love, it's like, oh, like don't bring that in here.
Yeah.
Like that's weird kind of stuff. But yeah, let's jump in.
Yeah.
And I have Jorge always jokes around with me about you always love the message, but I feel like the message does a really good job bringing it into the practicals of today.
Yeah.
I want to build theology around the message, but it gives super good context, especially for those who might not have grown up in the church.
Amen.
So we're going to do 1 Corinthians 13, and the first two verses. So we're going to do verse 3 and 4. They are just incredibly powerful as the why, the importance of love. So I'm just going to read these right now. If I give everything I own to the poor and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't have love, I have gotten nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, and what I do, I am bankrupt without love.
I love that. I think it's awesome. You know, I think about it in the context of the workplace. If you've done what you needed to do in your career and kind of stepped over people and even selfishly just pursued your own desires, and you get to where you want to be, let's say if it's senior vice president, CEO, wherever it is, or even just in your current role, no matter where you're at, if you did all of that at a cost of not loving others, it just shows me how our hearts are in that as we pursue.
And it really uses a business term. You are bankrupt. You are gone. Every value that you got is taken away, right? You are bankrupt without love. And so it sets this really high bar of like, hey, love is important. And if you can do all these other things, like literally it described, you can be martyred. And if you don't have love for your neighbor, for your cube neighbor, for the people on the other side of the Zoom, it's nothing. Like you're not showing up. And I even teased out some of these verses, but the next one, it says love never gives up. And when you think about that, for me, the word that we've always talked about is grit. Like sticking with it, not giving up. And I believe that is the premise. Because you go in business, we have all different seasons, right? And there have been plenty of times in my 22 years at Target where it's like we've had rough business cycles. We're just coming out of one of those. And it would be easy to be like, I'm out. Like, I don't want to show up for my team anymore. This is hard to comp these numbers. But with love, you keep showing up.
And that really just, it's an essence of our character, right? As followers of Jesus. If we stay consistent and are faithful and love and care and just show up in a meaningful way, it changes our perception internally within our own organizations to say, wow, that person is someone that's dependent. I can depend on them.
Consistent when it's good, consistent when it's bad. And I think that's, as Christians, our challenge is to figure out, how do we just be faithful in the good and in the bad?
And I would just say too, if you're a leader, if you're actually a leader of people, and I'm going through this right now, Bradley, we've been having conversations as you have been staying here with us. It's so hard. And how many times have we seen? I've had leaders in my life that in the work environment that haven't cared to even just lead me and guide me and actually show up and work through my problems with me to figure out how can we be the best partners. And one of the things that I've taken away is like, no matter what, if that person is doing a phenomenal job or if that person is not doing so great, I'm still going to love them and care enough to walk alongside them, because that's what, first of all, a follower of Jesus should be doing. And secondly, I mean, Jesus laid the perfect leadership model of servant leadership, constant servant leadership. He dealt with people that were all over the place. I mean, he dealt with so many different types of sinners that if you think about it, we wouldn't even have the capacity to think about how do we navigate that situation. So I just think for us in the workplace as leaders of people, we just have to stay consistent with loving and caring and showing up. No matter, yes, there is business needs that need to be met, absolutely. But even in that, it's kind of this fine balance of, yes, there's business needs, but then the reality is they're human beings. And no matter what, that supersedes the business in my mind. I don't know if you have any
and it's the word consistent, I think, is the business word that will resonate with our folks who are in the business world. But faithful is what a lot of pastors would say. Like, you're consistent, you're faithful, you're showing up. And I think when we look at this in the message, of course, it's verses 3 through 7. So we're just going to go line by line here. But that truly is, you never give up. You keep showing up. The next one is love cares more for others than for yourself. And I think about that, and truly embodies what we would say is servant leadership. It's like, I'm going to put the other person before my own interests. And this is where you go back to a lot of people in their careers. It's about what at the end of the day is going to propel me forward in my career. And when you're acting out of a heart of love as a person in the marketplace, you're going to put the other person before yourself. You're going to, whether it's in business, whether you're in the medical field, you are going to put that patient, you're going to put that business partner before you and what their need is. And I think that flips the paradigm, especially in a very competitive corporate setting where it's like, it's all about, like, how do I make sure the brand Bradley is pushed forward and that everyone knows how great you are. But here it's like, nope, love cares more for others than for self.
You know, I think in merchandising where I work within merchandising, so I manage a lot of categories, and it's very easy to be selfish, to just focus on my own business. And one of the things that I've learned throughout my career is there's a lot of that happens. No, absolutely. Merchants step over others. They're like, oh, I only care about my business, and I'm going to category, and I'm going to leverage the right people to advance my career. One of the things that I've actually realized is being able to bring others alongside you so that they benefit in whatever you're doing is actually so much more satisfying than the outcome of the business itself, which yes, I do pursue the business to be able to do some good things and obviously need to do what's right for the categories that I own. But as I'm thinking about it, I kind of take the approach of, and I've had conversations with my teammates about this, is I just want to do the right thing for the business. It doesn't really matter what I do, right? It's just, I can
what benefits you.
Yes, what benefits me. Because I can do that all day long. But if others aren't grasping the vision and grasping like, wow, I can be a part of something greater than myself, which, let's be honest, if you're a true, if you're someone that's truly loving business in the way that we should love business or like enjoy business, it is about that. We are working towards something greater than ourselves. And that's the whole point of our faith walk too. We're doing something greater than ourselves, beyond ourselves, like in Jesus Christ. So anyways, going back to kind of just wrapping that up, I think if we're able to just truly bring others along with us in the journey of our growth, that's love right there, because you care enough about that person growing and developing with you as you figure out the business dynamics of how you succeed in your company.
And I think about you just started leading people and you have a team. I've been leading people most of my career. And the further along I get, it goes back to, yes, we're achieving these great business objectives, but where you are like content and you feel the joy is when the people that you've surrounded yourself with, now that I get to hire on my team, thrive and are just killing it. And wherever they go, I have a development program at Target, and it's fun. I get people for 1, maybe 2 years max, and then they're off to their next step at Target. And that's what it's all about. It's not about me having this great development program, but when they succeed, I succeed. And when I put their interests before my own and see them thrive, that is what it's all about.
And I think what that also unlocks is that people then want to follow you. They want to understand, okay, why did you bring me along? Or I just love Bradley so much because he cares about me so much. And so I want to be wherever Bradley's at. And I want to be able to follow him and follow him across the organization. All right, Bradley, if you jump over there, I'm going to jump too. So you start to get people to follow you in a more organic and natural way. And that opens up the door for a lot of conversation to have about what Jesus is doing in your life beyond that.
And I think that goes back to the fundamentals of caring and loving for others more than yourself. And then next one, love doesn't want what it doesn't have, and love doesn't strut. And even when I think about, as it goes into the next verse, love doesn't have a swelled head. And you look at those 3 verses combined, and it's like, okay, love doesn't want what it doesn't have. And it's like envy, I want what that person has. Think about that in business, right? The strutting in business, oh my goodness. Like you show up and it's all about me, look at what I've done. Like, and we kind of, especially in a corporate retail world, like promote ourselves where it's like, that's how you advance. And it's like, okay, we're not supposed to be strutting. And you don't think overly about yourself where it's like, I have this swelled head. It's like, I'm the best that's out there. And I know at Target, there's been so many moments where we've like been, I would say, very hubris. I think Canada's a great example where we got it all figured out. We're going to buy all these stores. And it was one of the biggest learning moments our business had, where it's like we had a big head. We had this brand and we can easily go into the neighborhood to the north. And it ended up being a big learning failure moment for us. But yeah, give me your thoughts on what does that look like. I know we had an episode on humility is king, but in love, we don't have the room to strut, to have a big head.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we focus too much on trying to go and bite off more than we can chew, quite frankly, it's not going to end well. And I think, but at the same time too, I think the way that we can combat that is recognizing other people, just passing it off to others, like recognizing the work that people are doing, so that it doesn't come across as like I'm this arrogant person and I'm the one that solved all the world's problems. It's no, I mean, I think in business, you're going to win together and you're going to fail together.
Yeah.
So if you, at least in those wins and in the failures too, highlight, hey, yes, we failed, like we learned, we adapted, but here's what we're going to do together as a team. That takes a lot more courage than just blaming others directly, right?
Yeah.
And even in winning too, if you're winning, it's so much more beneficial to be able to dish out the recognition than say, nope, I'm the one that brought that idea together and nobody else helped me, right?
Yeah.
But no, the reality is you needed people to help you out in the success of the winning.
And I think that any good leader in the marketplace is going to give others the recognition. And it goes back to the Proverbs. And Proverbs says, like, let other people call you out. Yeah. Don't call out, hey, I did this, like, I'm great. It's like, let other people notice the great work that you're doing and let them be the champions of that voice. And I love that default line. And it goes back to like putting others before yourself. It's like, hey, in this major project, there's probably 10 other people. And yes, maybe you played point, or maybe, yes, you played a role in it. But as a leader, when you can recognize others, automatically it brings humility into it. It's not about me. It's not about what I've accomplished. Good practical tips. Okay, the next one. Doesn't fly off the handle. Love doesn't fly off the handle. I know this is the message, like a little bit more, like, what do you take from that? And what does that mean for you in the business world?
Yeah, I mean, it's staying level-headed, right? As much as we can be level-headed.
Yeah.
And I know it's very easy in business to get emotional about things.
Yeah. Especially if you're vested in what you're doing. Yeah.
Yes. And we've been talking about this, right? Well, I'm just passionate about what I do. But passion is not an excuse to be a poor leader.
Yeah.
Leading yourself well, or leading well, means, hey, this level setting expectations for yourself to be able to be even keel and not go over the handlebars on a lot of things. So that's kind of my initial take. What are your thoughts?
And I think there's a lot of emotions that come. We're dealing with humans, right? And when I think about the moments I haven't shown up well, is when I've lost my cool.
Yeah.
And that is where it's like, ooh, even if I'm right, like even I've had moments where I'm justified. And I'm like, Bradley, because I'm normally pretty like calm and even like, I got to bring my emotions now. And every time I have done that, it usually doesn't end up in a good spot. Yeah. It's like, hey, you're losing that control of your emotions. You're speaking out of your emotions versus like the facts and what's actually happening. And so I love this. It's like practical advice in the love chapter. Yeah. It's like, if you love someone, you aren't going to let your emotions just flare. Because oftentimes when it says here, you fly off the handle, someone's going to get hurt. Like, you're going to say things, the words you use are not going to be with care. And so I think in the business world especially, you have to be able to lead yourself, control your emotions, and be very measured with the words that you're using. And when you feel like, hey, I'm getting upset, it might be a pause moment where you go, hey, I'm going to need a little break, or let's reset. Let's talk about this at our next meeting, and not let the emotions creep in there.
And I think we should talk about, so yes, absolutely agree with the leadership component of it, because we should definitely be considerate that in business, we just need to keep moving forward. Business is it's an infinite game. It's not finite. And so we have to keep moving forward. And as a leader, we can't let emotions bring us up and down and up and down, because we're not going to be able to move forward in the things that we need to do in our work. And so that's going to also show out that you are a consistent person as in all seasons of how things are shaking out, and you're going to carry business forward. Now, as someone that isn't a leader, so if you're an individual contributor, think about how you could, maybe the frustration show up. Think about how we could show up as an individual contributor to be a blessing in moments of
heightened tension.
I love politically correct. But no, I think it's a good thought process to have and understand. Okay, how could I show up in a meaningful way as things are high in the tensions right around my environment and my workplace? And I guess I'm curious to hear your thoughts how people can practically show up there too.
Well, I think it's so important when we recognize this, because it's not about that you don't have, like, you're human, you have emotions, like you are sad, you are frustrated,
100%.
you are happy, you are joyful, all of those things. The Bible lets rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn, but how you show up in it is really what matters. And so it's like, hey, you could be really upset, but it's how you express that's important. And it's how you honor and respect people in your communication. And it's like, okay, how am I going to thoughtfully, in a measured way, be able to give this feedback, basically? So when you're not aligned, when you're frustrated, when you think someone hasn't treated, maybe unethical, or hasn't treated you fairly, or hasn't treated the team even fairly, how do you use measured words to identify the facts that are happening, not just like, hey, my emotions, and even, hey, I'm feeling this way, doesn't feel really good, versus like putting an assumption on people and throwing the kitchen sink at them. It's like, how do you express that, but you still can, in a way, especially in the marketplace, that's measured, that allows people to understand that, yes, I'm frustrated, without, as the message says, flying off the handle. I think that's the important thing to recognize.
And one practical tool that anybody could really use is make a case against whatever you're combating, and make a case for. So it's like, if you were in the courtroom, right? The person that is saying like, oh, this is actually what's happening, and the other person's like, no, that's actually not what's happening. Like, put the facts where the things are showing up, right? If it's something that is showing up as like, yep, they hate you, or whatever it's happening, like weigh the two out, and then ask yourself the question too: if I act upon this, am I aligned with the outcome? Right? And then just really allow it to lead yourself in that. Take a pause moment, weigh the two out, and then ask yourself the question: if I act on this, am I okay with the outcome and the value that it brings to my life?
And the comparison allows you to see the other person's perspective. Like, if you're actually taking the time to be like, why on earth would they be presenting this or acting this way? Like, it allows you to actually think through, are there other perspectives, and should I be listening? And we talked about this in other episodes, slowing down and taking that in before I allow my emotions to jump in there.
And then,
very important. And I feel like even executive leaders I've seen have a long ways to go, myself included, to learn not to fly off the handle here. Let's see here. It doesn't force itself on others. It isn't always me first. We talked about that. And it doesn't keep score of the sins of others. And I think this one is, wow, if we think about love, and I'm not keeping a scoreboard. And at work, it's really easy to be like, man, you haven't been helping me out. Like, why should I be partnering with you and delivering against this objective? So maybe let's talk a little bit more about, and this goes back to like a faith perspective would say, I need to forgive you. Those are words that we would say. In business, it's like, I'm keeping score. It's like, you're not a good partner. You don't collaborate. You don't, like, you aren't transparent. You don't go out of your way, right, to partner to help with our broader initiatives. So how do we make sure that we aren't keeping score in the workplace?